What's going on, Missouri basketball fans? Welcome to another edition of Talking Ball and college basketball fans in general. Today, we're looking obviously at the Missouri roster as we head into the 2025-26 season. And then in a month or so, I'll come back and give you guys my official predictions and what I think the rotation is going to shake out to be for this Missouri basketball team, which I think is a very deep team and will be certainly a conversation to be had. I'm very curious what you guys think about that. But in the meantime, we're going to go back a little recap of last year before we dive into this year's roster. So last year, Missouri was certainly a surprise team. They were coming off a season where they went 8-24, 0-18 in the SEC under head coach Dennis Gates, and they really rebounded in a major way. They went 22-12, 10-8 in the SEC, which on paper may not sound great, but that was the best conference in college basketball, the best conference in college basketball arguably of all time. Maybe not even arguably based off the number of teams that made the NCAA tournament. And what's most impressive to me, unlike, a kind of similar turnaround at a school like Louisville, they did it under head coach Dennis Gates. I know the year prior there's a lot of injuries, but still, to me, to be able to have that buy-in after such a terrible season, to be able to get what they got from this roster, with some new faces for sure, but a lot of guys who stuck around. And that says a lot to me about Coach Gates and what he's been able to build with this program. And they had big wins last season. They beat number one Kansas at the time in a rivalry game. They beat Alabama. They beat national champion Florida. So they just had an ability to beat the big teams. And they had a fun play style. They played fast. They played a lot of players. And they really had, a really reliable set of veteran players, I would say, as well, at the top of their roster. When you look at guys like a Tamar Bates, you look at a guy like a Caleb Grill. These were experienced players who've been in college basketball a long time and played major roles for Missouri last year. Their leading scorer was Mark Mitchell, who had spent 2 years prior at Duke and had a bigger role on this Missouri team than he ever had at Duke. They also had key contributors in Tony Perkins, who certainly battled injuries, the really impressive defensive guard Anthony Robinson, and then there was just a lot of guys who were a part of the rotation, whether that's Trent Pierce, Marcus Warwick, Jacob Cruz. There's just a lot of guys who were in and out of the lineup for Missouri. And I think that's part of what made them tough to play against. There was just you were never quite comfortable. They could change their play style. They could change. They wanted to play bigger. They wanted to play smaller. And that gave Coach Gates a lot of flexibility. He took a lot of that, I feel like, from his time at Florida State, where there would be a lot of height and also they would play a lot of guys. And I expect that to continue this season. So as we turn the page, we start looking at this year. Can they replicate the success from last year, I think, is the question to be had. So let's see here. Get this sorted. All right, so we've got the roster pulled up here, and we're going to go in height order. So first off is Aaron Rowe, 3-star guard recruit. I don't expect Aaron to play his freshman season just based off the depth at these guard positions for Missouri. And the depth is in part the three guys right next to him. Anthony Robinson, Sebastian Mack, T.O. Barrett. Robinson is going to start. There's no question about that. All SEC defensive player. Just a phenomenal defender. If he can improve his jumper and have more confidence in it, because he did knock down 40%. He just didn't shoot a high volume. That would really help this Missouri team, I feel like. Sebastian Mack coming over from UCLA. Spent 2 years there. 9.5 points, 2 rebounds, almost 2 assists per game. He's going to be in competition, I feel like, with the guy to his right for a starting role on this team. I wouldn't be shocked, maybe a little bit surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked if T.O. Barrett finds himself, getting more playing time than people might think. He had a really strong finish, I thought, to last season. And even though he wasn't a guy who was highly rated as a 3-star recruit. I feel like this is a player who could find himself playing more, especially if his shot starts to fall next season. We've got Jaden Stone here. I really don't know what to make of Jaden Stone. He missed last year due to injury. He was on the West Virginia team, but prior to that, spent 2 years with Detroit Mercy and 2 years with Grand Canyon. In his last year that he played, he averaged 21 points, 5.5 rebounds, and he shot almost 8 threes a game. Didn't connect on a high percentage, 31%, but clearly had free reign to get him up there. So there's a lot of confidence in his three-point shot. I know a lot of Missouri fans are expecting big things from Anor Boateng, who, didn't play a lot of minutes last year, but was a top 30 recruit on the wing, in part because of the veterans in Caleb Grill and Tamar Bates who were ahead of him, in the pecking order. Now those guys aren't there. Could he get a major step forward? And Jacob Cruz, a guy who came over with the reputation as a sharpshooter based off of his time at UT Martin. Last year didn't shoot the ball as well as he did there. Can he improve, with another year, a little bit more comfort and familiarity in the Missouri system? Nicholas Randall, 3-star recruit freshman. I don't expect him to play for Missouri this year. Mark Mitchell, him and Anthony Robinson are the two guys who I feel very confident. I think all Missouri fans would agree. And please like this video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps with the algorithm. But those guys are clearly going to be starters and major pieces of this Missouri puzzle next season. And Mark Mitchell, the thing I wonder with him is on a team with maybe not quite as good spacing. Can he improve his jumper? As a guy who's watched his entire career, his jump shot has trended downward, honestly. And so if he can improve both from the free throw line and from outside, but especially from the free throw line, I think it would really help his overall game. And Trent Pierce, the junior, he's played some at the 5. He'll play some at the 4. He's a versatile piece, and I think that's going to help him get playing time. How much? We'll have to see. And the same can be said for the next two guys, Javon Porter and Luke Northweather. Porter's certainly got more of a track record of production, having coming over from Loyola Marymount. He spent 2 years prior at Pepperdine. 12.5 points, 7 rebounds, a steal and a block per game. And he can shoot the 3, but maybe not super efficient, 32% from 3. 5 attempts, though, for a guy who's 6'11". And then Northweather, similar big guy, 6'11", can also stretch the floor. 34% last year for Northweather at Oklahoma from 3 on about 2 attempts per game. So, you maybe not highly efficient, but the ability to shoot the 3 is there, which I think is important for a team where your two best players, the two guys who I'm most sure are going to play, Mitchell and Robinson, aren't necessarily the best three-point shooters. You're going to need the spacing around them. And then here, with Sean Phillips and Trent Burns, you get your rim protection. And Phillips has the track record. Burns is more theoretical, as he was a redshirt freshman last year, but a top 100 recruit, and he's 7'5". So I think it's not so much theoretical in terms of his rim protection, but can he stay on the floor? Can he be mobile enough? That we'll have to see. And with Phillips coming over as a transfer from Arizona State, he's a guy who he's going to be part of the rotation. Whether he plays 10 minutes or 20 minutes, we'll have to see. But is a guy who in 18 minutes a game averaged 5.5 points, 5 rebounds, and a block. So he can protect your rim for your team. And this Missouri team, similar to last year, just is very deep. Can they get enough three-point shooting is the question I have really heading into the season. But I expect them to be a competitive team and a team that is, right in the middle of the pack of this SEC next season. Maybe not quite as good as they were last year with the guys that they lost, but still a very competitive team in the SEC. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Until next time, peace.